Hey everyone, it is Dave. Today is St. Patrick's Day, March 17th, 2023. I'm going to walk around the backyard and show you all the cool things that are happening. You can see that the magnolia is pretty much done blooming, but it still has such a beautiful structure to it. Very laced out, really nice light green leaves coming out as well. And it's still nice because you can see kind of right through it. This week we've had 4 inches of rain, so everything really got pummeled. I had done more of the brickwork, and in a later video I will show you how I did the brickwork, because a few of you have been asking. But I did weed this area, mulched it, put in some Iceland poppies, and I think that's what caused it to rain this week, because they just really got hit pretty hard. The lavender blooms. Couldn't ask for anything better right now. The oxalis bloom. And then the Iphion. The leucojum are pretty well done for the season. Look at that clump of Amaryllis belladonna. I'm looking forward to the blooms that's going to give this coming August. And I do have to cut it back a little bit because it's totally taking over our osteos now. Some more oxalis bloom. Really nice carex. And I'm always really pleased with how that variegated Alstroemeria comes back every year. This is about the 3rd year for it. Planted a fern behind. This is about the 3rd year on the columbine, and it is the 2nd year for that, but I just dug it up out of the pond area where it had seeded. There's still a beautiful scent of hyacinths. With the pinks, those have been the most fragrant. Daffodils are pretty well done. Heliotrope in the back, withheld pretty good. And some beautiful leaves coming out on the pomegranate. Once again, this was about 4 inches of rain, and it totally filled up this pond reservoir here. That one lone daffodil. I was able to work on the fence a little bit back here. I still need to do more work though, but you can kind of see that I replaced some of the panels there, and then I'll continue to do that over here as I strip down the ivy, put in another 4x4 support. There is some pink jasmine starting to come into bloom. This is incredibly fragrant. Looks like we've got a few leaves coming up on the dogwood tree. My goal this week is to do some vegetables back here, at least clean the area and prepare the beds. The Japanese maple I bought is leafing out. The blatilla, or hardy ground orchid, all set to bloom. I did do some planting, so let's head over into the rose garden. But we'll take a quick look at the climbing rose here and the beautiful gumdrop bay tree. Look at all the blooms on the genetic dwarf peach. This is one of the reasons I have this here. It's just such a stunning bloom on it. And then over here on the nectarine, but of course, as soon as it started flowering, it really rained and a lot of the blooms got damaged. Iris nata, still blooming. We've got the dwarf Chamaecyparis back here. And I am really pleased with how the brick pattern turned out and the width of the beds and all of that. So a couple new things I bought this week. Bought just some purple alyssum and found a 6-pack of lamb's ears. And of course you have to have that in an English garden. I started digging up the bearded irises and shifting those back here. And I just planted the Tabernae montana. I don't know of a common name for that plant. There are a couple of varieties of it. They do have kind of like gardenia, like white flowers, but single, rather than the double that you see with the gardenias. So I'm hoping that will do well. I did plant one of these 20 years ago and it died, but it was not in a very good area. This, I'm just gonna keep my fingers crossed, hope it does well. And I think it will get enough shade here from both the apple tree and then the ligustrum, because our summers can be kind of hot and that leaf looks like it could sunburn. A couple of things I got were some dianthus, and this was in like a gallon-sized container. Got that one, and I got this one here. So already starting to come up and bloom. So I'm excited by that. Also planted the rock there. It's about done with that Shasta daisy flower. I did add some more mulch over in this area here. So we're a little bit further along. My goal, I'd love to finish this corner in the next week or two, and maybe even this entire thing. Because once I'm over here, this area is gonna go really quick. It's just this curve. And I think once I get the iris transplanted back toward the back, clean up this area for probably another rose bush, I think that I'll feel a lot more accomplished. Look at the scaveola there. It's just looking fantastic. The English daisies. And just when those pansies were looking so good. I was just looking at the Santolini yesterday. That's come out so nice. And look at these cool violas. Got some leafing out on the apricot tree. All right, so that is where I am with the backyard right now. And what I want to do, since a lot of people like the San Gabriel nursery walkthrough last week, is I went to a local nursery, Covina Garden Center, I'll put that link in the description below. And I walked through that nursery. It took a little bit more time, so I will see you guys next week with a new video. So I hope you enjoy the walkthrough of this nursery. Right, hey everyone, it's Dave, and today I am at Covina Garden Center. This is a local garden center in Southern California. It does have special memories for me because this is where I began working way back in the 1980s. Not at this location. This location is probably about 20 years old, but the nursery itself is from the late 50s, early 60s, and the owner of it has since passed away, and his son has been running it since the 80s. So it's a very cool family-owned nursery. I'm going to walk through parts of it today. And of course, the local nurseries are always my favorite because they have so many cool and interesting material that you're not going to find at the box stores. Now, at the filming of this video, I should tell you, we just had a huge storm come in, had about 4 inches of rain, and so everything might be a little water damaged, and you might see some coverings on some of the bag goods, and that's just to protect them from the weather. I will put all the information in the description below on their contact information. And for us in Southern California, it is past the 15th of March, and that is our frost-free date. So they have peppers and tomatoes, cucumbers, squash, eggplant. We'll take a look at some of the eggplant here. Because this year the weather's been so funky, I would still watch the nighttime temperatures, especially for some of these plants coming out of hothouses, like the basil here. And if we get a cold night, you may want to throw a sheet of newspaper or something like that over them. Look at how beautiful that thyme is. And look at that mint. If you do mint, it's best in a container. Once you have it in the ground, as I'll point out at my home, it's never going to go away. Those beautiful lavender blooms, bay tree. Now, this nursery also does a really good variety of heirloom tomatoes. They're not quite out yet. Right now, it's mostly like the Better Boy, Early Girl, Champion, Lemon Boy, Sweet 100, tomatoes like that. But in the next couple weeks, you'll see a huge amount of some of the really cool heirloom varieties: Cherokee Purple, Brandywine. And here we can still put in the lettuces and green leafy vegetables for still a couple more weeks. We'll still be able to get a harvest before any of the heat really hits. These are not vegetables, but alstroemeria. And we've got the shade area over here. They also do a huge amount of business with fruit trees. In fact, this is where I got my pomegranate tree. We'll walk through the apples over here. You can see many of them are blooming right now. Now, normally from a container like this, like a 5-gallon size, you're looking at probably, even though you may get a few fruit here and there for the first year or two, it's really about the third year that you're hoping to get decent harvest from. Here we've got some peaches. Apricots. And they do have the varieties like the apriums and pluots, all the genetic crosses. Got some plums here. Mariposa plum. Santa Rosa. Superior. And definitely check out that huge staghorn. This is an abutilon. It's a beautiful shade bush. Also called Chinese lantern. We also do a great variety of smaller fruits and berries like the blueberries, raspberries, blackberries. Pomegranate. Got some fruiting mulberries here at the back. Some fig trees. Some grapevines. And also some fruiting olives. So again, there's a lot of really great things at your local retail nurseries you're just not going to find at any of the box stores. And I think that's one of my favorite things, because I work in various parts of Southern California, that I get to cruise around to many of these and just find some, really oddity plants that really can make your yard stand out. We should probably walk through the soils here. So all sorts of planting mixes, conditioners, redwood bark, cedar bark, and that's what I use for the mulching of my yard. The LGM brand of planting mixes and potting soils, also the G&B brand. They do a lot of their own potting on those fruit trees. When they come in bare root. Again, it's very cool to see the peppers in already. Some beautiful daffodils and ferns. New Guinea impatiens, and look at those double calanchos. We've got some dicentra, some bleeding heart. begonias and heuchera or coral bells. There's some with some blooms on them. That papyrus plant. Origeron, or Santa Barbara daisy. We have some black-stemmed pittosporum here. Some really cool variegated society garlic. Wisteria vines. Look at that cherry tree coming into bloom. Just a few camellias. And look at that fern. It's Aglamorpha. Very similar in terms of care and light requirements to Davallia, the rabbit's foot fern, which they've also got one of those right up here. Epithelium. And some bird's nest ferns. Also some small staghorns. You don't see those very often. Primroses. And we'll zip in, see what type of house plants they've got. Some string of pearls. A few different varieties of Hoya. Got the Sansevieria. I think those are varieties of Alocasia. And then the Hoya. All right, and one last thing we'll check out is their cactus collection. Again, that's another Chinese lantern. We've got some pitcher plants. Cyclamen. And we'll look at just a few geraniums on the way out. I hope you have enjoyed the tour of Covina Garden Center, and I will see you all in the next video.